Next on Startup, we head to Madison, Wisconsin to meet with Brian, an avid fisherman who worked in mapping technology and created Fishidy, a smartphone app that's helping fishermen catch more fish. Then we head to Minneapolis, Minnesota to meet with MJ and Susan, two artists and entrepreneurs who started Eyemusement, a company that designs fashionable and affordable eyewear. All of this and more is next on Startup.
It all starts with an idea, and everyone has them. In the world of business, where you choose to take your idea determines where your idea will take you. Baker College is proud to support Startup and those who dare to share their ideas with the world.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
American Express is proud to support Startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup. I'm on Lake Wabasha in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're going to talk to Brian, who created Fishidy, a website and smartphone app that helps make fishermen more successful. Let's go hear his story. 80% of time spent on mobile phones is spent inside of apps, and there's an app for just about everything. In 2013, there were 102 billion app downloads globally. Brian spent the majority of his career working in geographic information systems and mapping technology. He's also been an avid fisherman for most of his life, and with Fishidy, Brian found a way to blend his passion with his career. Start off by telling us who you are and what you do.
So I'm Brian Jensen, I'm the CEO of Fishidy.
What is Fishidy?
Fishidy is a map-based social platform that you can access on your mobile phone through the App Store or online at fishidy.com.
Tell me about some of the features of the app. What does it do?
So what Fishidy does, it will show you very detailed maps of the waterways you fish. So it's basically, think of it as sort of like a Google, where Google ends at the road, that's where we pick up.
Nice.
You can also use it as a logging application so that you can have a history of what you've done and you can connect with other anglers, share information, share pictures, stuff like that. For example, on a spot like this, you know, we would have it marked on the map, and then we would say, go into this spot here, it's lily pads, use a frog and fish for largemouth bass, effectively. Okay. And on a really horrible fishing trip.
Mm-hmm. What made it horrible?
I didn't catch fish for like a week.
Got it.
And you know, spent all this money, and the weeks before the trip, I tried to do research online and try to find, you know, what was biting, where things were biting up there. Mm-hmm. Couldn't find anything. And I felt so unprepared, and it showed because I had a terrible week. And that's when I kind of said, all right, there's got to be a better way to do this.
What is your background? What allowed you to be able to do some of this stuff?
So I've actually, for the last 10 years, I've been in the software industry. I actually worked for a company that specializes in building map-based software products.
Perfect.
It was a great company, and they've helped me a lot along the way.
What's your goal with it?
So our goal with it is really to build the largest online fishing community.
So it's a social network.
It's exactly a social network. If you share one of your fishing spots with 10 of your friends, mm-hmm. and they do the same, you've given up one spot and have gotten 10 in return. So it's right, a pretty good ROI.
Marine fisheries contribute $70 billion annually to our nation's economy. And there are over 1 million jobs associated with the U.S. commercial fishing industry, yielding over $32 billion in income. What were the steps that brought the product to market to fruition?
First thing was to really just understand our research and understand the dynamics of the market, what consumers wanted. So we put together focus groups, angling focus groups to help them determine the features, things like that. Then we built an alpha version.
What was the total number that you raised for the first round of funding, and how far did that carry you?
So we got some seed money right away that was well over $1 million.
Wow.
But that was basically to build the product.
Yeah.
So it didn't allow us to go to market. It didn't allow us to do anything like that. So we just closed a $1.5 million Series A. Additional that we just closed from institutional investors.
That's congratulations. That's awesome, and it's not easy to do.
It's very difficult.
We talk about it sort of casually right now, but that is, wow. You found where the bodies are buried, so to speak.
It is. It's herding cats. It's it's a process, that's for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about Brian from Fishidy.
Sure. What's more Wisconsin than fishing, right? So recently he won a pitch competition for us called the Pressure Chamber. So the Chamber of Commerce put on a pitch competition. You won a golden suitcase, and because the eventual prize was to win an all-expense-paid trip to Silicon Valley to pitch to some of the world's greatest venture capitalists, or largest venture capitalists.
Wow.
And so I've seen the company grow from just ideation to now they've raised $1.5 million and seem to do really well. One of the venture capitalists, after he had left the room, said, "Don't ever hesitate to bring us stuff like that because we just don't see those kind of companies in Silicon Valley."
Awesome.
One of the biggest things that you hear, and even when talking with investors, is there a big market? And it's a gigantic market. There's 60 million people in the U.S., just in the U.S. that fish. So I was able to do a lot of good market research and present a case that I think was pretty compelling. I got some partners on board early, like getting Fishing Hotspots to partner with us early on. I mean, that was a huge accomplishment.
Was that just a phone call?
They were a client of mine in my previous life, not doing anything related to Fishidy. And I actually, he said, I was going to do a project for him. And then I said, hey, I have this other idea. And I kind of gave it to the 90-second pitch. He's like, well, can you be in my office tomorrow? Let's talk about it.
Talk about, I guess, SEO and how important it is to a small startup. How do you stand out?
When I first started, we really started going after a lot more general type keywords. Fishing maps, fishing reports, those are really big ones. The more we started working with it and looking at our reports and metrics, we decided to go with a much more niche approach.
Sure.
So the advantage of Fishidy is really there's a local concept with Fishidy. So
you're able to drill down to that fisherman, that person looking for it.
Exactly. So we're out here in Lake Wabeesa.
Yep.
We have a specific waterway page for people looking for Lake Wabeesa fishing reports, Lake Wabeesa fishing maps. So for us to be able to target something that niche, it's really to our advantage. And
are you able to do that with a lot of lakes? Because I could only imagine trying to funnel down on 8,000 lakes.
Yeah, well, you got to find ways to do it at scale. So,
sure.
You make small tweaks across the whole system, and that's how you make the changes.
How do you get this to the masses? How do you market this?
Right now we're very active on social media, so that's been huge for us. We do a lot of word of mouth, and we do a lot of product evangelist stuff. So we have ambassadors all over the country that are working for us, not literally like on our payroll, but just people that are getting the community engaged. They're promoting us. They're talking to their friends about it. So that's helped a lot too. And we do a lot of digital marketing, things like pay-per-click, keyword advertising, and search engine marketing, things like that.
You started, you got some funding, you're on the route, you have a great product, you get to fish a lot.
Yeah.
Life sucks, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just awful. Yeah, I mean, it really stinks being out here on the water.
Any big hardships?
Yeah, I mean, there were lots of hardships. I mean, we've had big delays in releases of product. You try to operate lean as a startup, but I think we've learned some lessons on how to best deploy capital. So we've had issues where, our capital's run out, stuff like that. So there's been a lot of hardships. We have a lot of fun and we've had a lot of success, but it's not easy running a company like this.
According to entrepreneur.com, you should never limit yourself to a single app idea. Release one, give it 4 to 6 months, and if nothing happens, move on to the next. What is it like to become a pro fisherman? Because it seems like fisherman's something that you love, fishing is a love, a passion, a hobby, but...
It's a dream come true, it really is. I mean, to be able to do what you love and enjoy doing it and get paid for it, you gotta love it.
Fishidy.
You got it.
Tell me about that.
Technology has come such a long way, but you still have to go back to the basics. And what I mean by that is you still have to understand what the water temperature is, what the air temperature is, what the what the weather patterns are, because fish will move based on the weather patterns. And an app like Fishidy allows me to do a lot of that research and a lot of that homework prior to me hitting the lake.
What I like to do is kind of scout out the lakes that I'm going to, take a look at the different contour maps, hotspots that they provide through fishing hotspots, and then try and eliminate water so that when I do get there, I don't have to fish the entire lake. I can start off on a few spots that really seem to be key areas and hopefully be productive during the tournament.
You've done this full time for going on a couple years now. Within that investment, I would assume operating capital is in there as well, like
Absolutely.
a salary, paying
Yes.
for the, you got to pay yourself.
Right, you need to pay for good employees, you know, you do. And that's our single biggest investment, not by far, is in our staff. We have a really, really good team.
What's your biggest piece of advice for another entrepreneur out there?
I think the biggest thing for a startup is you don't have to achieve everything right away.
Yeah.
Be incremental in what you're doing. Find, you know, milestones, even if they're small, and meet that milestone, and then, you know, build it iteratively. Let the market respond to what you're doing. You know, if we don't keep the app fresh, if we don't add more content, more data, more tools, we're going to start to see our churn go up. Our churn of customers is really low, like really low, and that's a testament to what our staff has done, and the fact that we're rolling out new features and tools all the time.
People are keeping hooked.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
How many users of the app right now? How many paid users of the app?
Right now we're at about 175,000 users,
Yep.
but we're adding, you know, 10 to 20,000 a month.
And then that's roughly maybe 9,000 paid
Yeah.
per month. Which, I mean, what is the pricing? You said $9 a month or
$9.99 for a month.
Quick math in my head, I mean, that's close to potentially $500,000, and you're just getting started
Yeah,
in revenue.
exactly.
So this thing looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Well,
Really
thank you
exciting.
so much for talking to us today,
Awesome,
man.
man.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I had a lot of fun.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Brian do it? Let's find out. He started with $0 in the bank and a near perfect 800 credit score. The business was funded with around $2 million that was acquired through corporate seed money. In its first year, it took an $80,000 loss. The one word that Brian uses to explain what it takes to make it in business is perseverance. A good idea can make a lot of waves. And when investors buy your idea, hook, line, and sinker, sometimes you need to scale up quickly if you want to stay afloat. And it looks like Brian's going to be krilling it in this space for a long time to come. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Fishidy. I'm on West 25th Street in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm going to talk to MJ and Susan, who created Eyemusement, a company that makes affordable designer eyeglasses. Let's go hear their story. Eyewear has become a steadily increasing market within the United States. The total amount of eyewear sold throughout the country has increased every year since 2009 in the four main categories: prescription eyeglasses, sunglasses, over-the-counter readers, and contacts. MJ and Susan have always been fearless creatives, so when the idea came up to start designing their own custom eyeglass frames, they went all in and haven't looked back since. Let's start by learning a little bit about yourselves. So tell us who you are and a little bit about your background.
Mary Jane and I had been talking, and I thought women our age needed more interesting eyewear.
Why glasses? Like, how did that idea hit you? Like,
Well, mine was losing my vision, and everybody,
and you hated what you saw at the store or
I thought it was
optometrist?
way too expensive. I thought it was absolutely lacking in design. I thought it did not look particularly fun. I spent a year working beforehand, developing a business plan, which we ended up throwing away because you have a plan and then you just need to be prepared.
It's a
to
moving
just
target.
change.
Why did you do it in the first place? For your own good or to potentially approach banks? Or there's a lot of reasons why people do a business plan.
I think it gives you a direction.
Yeah.
I think it
You have to
gives
have a point of departure.
There are no American manufacturers left. We first looked at what were all the options there, and all American manufacturing, or significant portion, has gone to other parts of the world because labor is cheaper, environmental laws are significantly less. I thought, well, I guess the way to get this rolling is to go go to Hong Kong. So I got on a plane and I went to Hong Kong to interview companies.
Sure.
So I ended up interviewing and selecting 5 companies from the Hong Kong show, and then came back here and we began the process of prototyping and making them. I ended up making 2 trips to China and looking at 8 bazillion different acetate chips.
So what is acetate samples for people?
For
this material.
This material
Got
in
it.
your glasses. At the same time, we were hiring a firm to do the marketing, website development, and graphics pieces. I mean, there were an enormous number of moving pieces to put together. But it was, instead of waiting around to get funding, nobody would look at us seriously, so we self-funded the business. And then it was just get moving.
How long before the idea, the drawings, the design, to actual manufacturing, production, and holding it physically in your hands?
Once you've decided on you or committed a third of the money down,
Right.
agreed signed all the contracts, you may get your product in 70 to 90 days, and then you have to inspect it. Minimum order is 300
Pair of
glasses.
Okay.
And they will divide that up in any colorways you want. We thought we'd sell on the internet, and that proved to be extraordinarily challenging because you need to back it up with a bucket of SEO and with an awful lot of resources that take an enormous amount of time and energy, and we didn't have the skill to do that.
Well, one of the things that wasn't obvious either is that we spent a lot of time, we're dedicated to quality, picking up really quality acetates, quality hinges, putting a lot of time into the design detailing. And in the end, it drove the price up, and we were fine with that. But it's not obvious on the internet when you compare glass A to glass B
They don't know.
what the quality is.
You said you had about $100,000 in just to start before you even got out of the gate.
Correct.
And that was out of your personal savings split.
Correct.
Okay, so that means you're all in.
Well, they
you know?
always ask, do you have some skin in the game? And I say, whole body. You know, how much skin do you
Every
want?
bit of it, yeah. Despite the fact that they are commonly known as glasses, most spectacle lenses today are actually made of plastic. This is to prevent them from breaking and make them lighter in weight. So let's talk about the digital end and the digital end of marketing of the business.
I think there we need to really move to Phantom because we realized we were not doing that well.
Sure.
And I think that's true of a lot of small businesses. If you can't do something right or well, you find someone else who can and you partner with them.
So tell us who you are and where we are today.
Well, welcome to Phantom Optics. My name's Dan Gallis. I'm the owner and president, and we manufacture and wholesale premium optical accessories.
And how did your relationship start with Amusement?
Susan had reached out to us with the understanding that we were an eye care practice and hoping to place the Amusement frames within our practice. And I said, we are not an eye care practice, however, we've got a much larger opportunity to discuss.
And it was a perfect combination because they wanted a high quality glasses line, and we had that, and we wanted a good salesperson, and he had that.
Great.
And we were kindred spirits, and so that was really wonderful.
We've essentially taken over the brand management for Amusement.
Okay.
So in addition to fulfillment, packing, shipping, order processing, we also do the marketing, so SEO, social media management.
But our exposure is so much better than it was because we're working with Phantom, and we see that.
Yeah.
We see the response in social media. It's you could measure it.
Talk about first year, second year sales up to now. Is the business profitable yet?
No.
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 I think what we hope to do is in the next 2 years to become at least breaking even. You know, we had the original investment, we've had post-investment, we've had post-investment.
All from you.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things that happens is that you just keep sinking money in, or at some point you just say, I'm done.
Let's talk about the name and the logo and the design.
That's pretty easy. We went through about 1,000 iterations to get to one that had not been taken. So it is eyes. Muse are women who guide you, and meant we were going forward. MJ, how about Nobel? You name Nobel.
Oh, yes, Nobel. This is if you're studious and you want to win the prize.
I love the names of these. They're
Nobel
very
laureate.
creative.
Don't I look like a Nobel laureate? I'm really a nerd at heart.
Do you actually wear glasses?
Oh, yeah, I really do.
You do. And you?
Of course, I'm
Okay.
blind as a bat without them.
As am I.
Yeah. I have almost all of these pair in prescription.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, we actually developed the frame so that they would take a prescription lens.
What's been the greatest hardship that you can say since starting this?
Well, we may look differently upon it, but from my perspective, one of the mistakes is that we tried to do too many things at one time.
It's tough when you've got an idea. You think it's the best idea in the world. So it's really tough to give that up. And I think flexibility and just sitting down and doing the hard talk discussions about the really tough issues that creative people tend to avoid like the plague. So if you're willing to bring somebody on board with a strong financial background who will annoy the hell out of you, do so, because they're going to tell you things you don't want to hear. And that's the information you need.
How close have you been to giving up on this?
Oh, very, very close. I told you, elderly parents, 2 jobs, starting a business in a terrible economy, continuing to sink money in, probably long after I should have stopped. I would say in December I was probably just ready to toss in the towel. I made a deal with myself to try one more thing and invest X amount of dollars. So I did that thing, and I invested those dollars, and I even went beyond that limit. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to be done. And
then things opened up.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you can say I'm done, but you never know what the next thing is going to be. And sometimes things bloom in front of yourself and you don't even expect it.
Sure. Around 25% of the world's population is required to wear some form of eyeglasses. What is a sunny, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah.
A sunny is a new term, actually, that was coined by MJ and Susan, the owners of Eyemusement and designers, and we just kind of adopted it. It's sunglasses.
Sounds very British.
Sounds very British. I've got my sunnies on. What I like the best about them is that they just have fabulous colors. There's the torch in the front, there's the green on the side, and I think they're great.
This is a little bit more contemporary. It's straight across the top.
But it's coming in. You see a lot of very expensive glasses like that.
This is Milan.
Actually, I like those.
Really?
Yeah. And they've got a sage green on the side. What do you think, MJ?
I like those on you.
Really?
Yeah, really. Well, for me, it's still very much alive because every time I wear a pair of glasses, people will come up and say, "Where'd you get those glasses?"
Yeah.
And I think, we're still current. I mean,
of course.
So I'm getting a positive feedback in the field. The fact that I had that energy coming to me gives me a lot of hope.
Right.
So I'm still in it.
That you do have to be all in. You have to be passionate. You have to be emotional. But if you're too, it can carry you over the cliff.
Well, you can't be blind, is what you're saying, really.
Which glasses really help with that. So maybe that's a hook,
I think creative people are challenged by we are so in love with our stuff that sometimes it's tough to make smart decisions. I really think it's important to start small, test, move to the middle, and then move on. You just can't expect instant success, which I think was part of my error, because I thought, oh, this will be easy. We've done this before. We know how to do it, and it's been much tougher than I expected.
And it looks like you guys are definitely on the right path to growth here. Sticking with it, that's what it's all about. That's what I'm taking away from this is you gotta stick with it and just see it through. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you
I really
for talking
appreciate
to us.
it.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. There are a million ways to start a business, but how did MJ and Susan do it? Let's find out. They started with $150,000 in the bank and a near-perfect credit score of around 750. They self-financed a total of $200,000 to start the business and are still operating at a loss. The word that MJ and Susan use to describe what it takes to make it in business is passion. Too much too fast can create a spectacle, and sometimes success hinges on your foresight and ability to create a clear vision of your business model. You can't be blinded by emotion, and mistakes are lessons. Sometimes you're the teacher, other times you're the pupil. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Eyemusement.
I think timing's important when bringing something to market. A lot of that is just going to be luck, being at the right place at the right time. But also, you can get a sense for where things are going and try to get a little bit ahead. I also think it's important just to get it right. And if it means that you aren't the first, that's not necessarily a failure. At least that allows you to see what others are doing and observe and learn from them. So timing's important, but it's more important to get it right.
Next time on Startup, we head to Iowa City, Iowa to meet with Veronica, a dedicated frozen yogurt connoisseur who created Yotopia, Iowa City's first frozen yogurt shop that sources local ingredients. Then we're going to swing by Madison, Wisconsin to meet with Matt, an inventor and tech guru who started Murphy, a company that turns your old CDs and vinyl into high-quality digital files. Be sure to join us next time on Startup.
Yeah, that's another option for you. Let's see, this might be a little bit more your color.
This one fits perfect. Oh, it feels good too.
Like it was made for you.
I feel very free.
What? So I know we're on opposite sides of the fence, but why do you always gotta balk about what you do, huh?
American Express is proud to support startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
It all starts with an idea, and everyone has them. In the world of business, where you choose to take your idea determines where your idea will take you. Baker College is proud to support startup and those who dare to share their ideas with the world.